Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life is Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. Today's episode, we will be discussing the Christ Church Cathedral, located in Springfield, Massachusetts. So tell us about the Christ Church Cathedral.
All right, this is the Episcopal Cathedral, and thus the bishop lives here for the Protestant denomination of the Episcopals. This is the home of the Western Mass Diocese for the Episcopalians. And today we're going to talk about the first bishop here, and the history and the look of this beautiful church, and the rest of its campus, and also how it's being improved. And I love this church very much. It's gorgeous on the outside, but it's also gorgeous on the inside. It's well worth it to attend one of the masses here. It's made out of East Longmeadow brownstone, and the look has kept its great look even after 150 years. And they have multiple stained glass windows inside of it. The whole type of church is called a Romanesque revival church, where you have rounded windows, and so it has a very heavy look to it, and the dark brown makes it look heavy too. So that's a gorgeous look if you do it right. Attached to it is the chancellery, or the bishop's home, and they have a little hallway that has a beautiful gateway and a beautiful red door, which matches the one in the front entrance of the church itself. Now, Christ Church Cathedral is in the quadrangle area, and so if you're ever in that area, there's much more than the museums there. There's also going to be St. Michael's Cathedral, beautiful old schools there. The original Cathedral High School, under a different name, is right there. There's Mattoon Street. And so this itself is also worth the visit, and just walking around that quadrangle area is amazing.
And who was the first bishop of this cathedral?
Okay, well, there's a man named Alexander Hamilton Vinton. He had been born in Brooklyn, New York City, and died in Springfield in 1911. Now, he's not buried in Massachusetts. He's buried in Providence, Rhode Island. But he was the first Episcopal bishop of Western Massachusetts. This was his diocese. This was his home. This was his home base for doing what he had to do as a bishop, and also the home base for giving the Mass. Like you could probably guess, the amount of Episcopalians in Western Massachusetts is not very high, so he had to do many duties in this area. He died at a young age, probably due to all the stress of doing all this work. And it's well worth to look into part of his life. I put a picture of him up on my website.
And really quick, before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, for more information or to sign up for various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for private tours and other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat4214B@yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, tell us about the campus of the Christ Church Cathedral.
Okay, there's, to me, three major parts. Of course, the beautiful church. Now, to the right, attached to that church, is a belfry. It's a square-looking one that fits into the Romanesque theme. It's also made of the Longmeadow brownstone. And It's quite nice looking. I don't know if the bell's still up there. Inside, the building is bigger. It looks bigger inside than you might guess. It has a beautiful organ inside there. I've been to that church a couple times inside, and it's quite worth your visit also. Now, next to it, to its right-hand side, is their old rectory from the same date as the build of the church. So, and that rectory is very important because you not only do you have the pastors, the bishop, you also have the diocese workers going there. And there's an auxiliary building that's attached both to the church and to the rectory, where you have more offices, because just because Episcopalian is fairly small doesn't mean you don't have a great need for a amount of workers. They handle all the documents, old and new, for all the dioceses, and they control all the Episcopal churches that are still in Western Massachusetts. So these buildings are big, and thus the church here is also big itself.
And how has the structure been improved recently?
Well, that's good. Something has really improved here. On the front of the main body of the church, there's a circular window, and that window has stained glass inside of it. As part of a Community Preservation Act grant in Springfield, they have renovated the front of that church, especially the stained glass, to make it look like it did 150 years ago when it was put in. So they renewed it, and that's actually being done. I think they started this year, and it's probably going to next year. Wonderful, because a great old church like this, made out of the beautiful brownstone, is very highly complemented by a beautiful circular stained glass window. So I hope you go to visit this church inside and outside and understand its history a little bit better. If you have any questions, of course, you can always email me. And thank you very much.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And of course, we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And check out a large selection of our other podcasts at his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to stay up to date with new podcasts and videos posted daily. Thank you.